Do you remember why your parents used to urge you to drink milk when you were a kid? Well, you might want to reconsider that after what I have to say. For the past 2 years, researchers have been trying to prove that milk is bad for your health. There are several studies that show that milk is associated with some diseases. This is not only directed towards children, it's directed towards you, family, friends, your parents. In this speech, you will learn that consumption of milk is bad for children, men and women. Consumption of milk for children may lead to sudden infant death, also known as SIDS, enuresis, also known as bedwetting, and acne. Formula-fed babies are at greater risk of dying from sudden death syndrome than breastfeed babies, and the reason why is there's a link between these childhood allergies and the three most common proteins found in milk. The three proteins are casein, beta-lactoglobulin, and alpha-lactoglobulin. Since babies are more hypersensitive compared to adults and teenagers, they are more likely to have allergy reaction to these foreign proteins. It is said on milk.com, not milk.com, that babies before 1 month of age develop symptoms of rashes or skin problems, gastrointestinal problems, and respiratory problems. It is highly recommended that babies are breastfed instead. And most children stop bedwetting. Another reason why consumption of milk is bad for children is bedwetting. Most children stop bedwetting by the age of 3. Though there are several reasons why they cannot stay dry at night. Dr. Winston Green suggested that eliminating all dairy products may prevent bedwetting because of the sensitivity to milk is very common among children. A study done by pastlife.com claims that removing milk from the diet can decrease bedwetting by 50%. The third reason why consumption of milk can be bad for children is acne. As some of you may know, acne occurs when the sebum, the oily substance, bacteria, and dead skin cells, they build above your hair follicle. It causes the pores to become blocked and it becomes a zit. Therefore, when children, especially teenagers, with their combination with their surging hormones, with their dietary saturated animal fat, cholesterol, steroid hormones, dead white blood cells, and cow pus, they're going to grow acne. So what's the cure? Just don't drink milk. Consumption of milk is not only harmful for children. It can also cause breast cancer, ovarian cancer, increase of menopause cramp for women. According to PETA, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, consumption of dairy product is associated with risk of breast cancer because of the high in fat, animal protein, and hormones. The American Dietetics Association reports that milk consumption in Asia is very rare, and therefore breast cancer is rarely heard of. International renowned nutrition expert Dr. T. Colin Campbell compares China, a non-milk drinking country, with cancer deaths among women with the age between 35 and 64 averaged less than 9 per 100,000 as opposed to 44 per 100,000 in the United States. Another cancer risk for women that is found in milk is ovarian cancer. Wikipedia defines ovarian cancer as a cancerous growth arising from the ovary. It is also known to be the 5th leading cause of death from cancer in women. The dairy industry's milk promotion board are very successful at targeting women of ages between 25 and 65. And what do they not tell us is the fact that milk contains a very high growth in hormone, insulin-like growth factor I, also known as IGF-I. IGF-I is a key factor in tumor growth, which is found identical in humans and cows. Executive Director of NotMilk.com, Robert Cohen, explains that IGFI speeds up the normally slow-growing cancers to grow very quickly, causing them to appear in a decade or two or even less. Finally, the third reason why consumption of milk is bad for women is the increase of menopause cramps. Though the girls in this classroom are not even close to that age yet, it might be kind of good to listen to this sooner. Lori Aesop is a nutritionist that wrote a story about cramps. According to her, 50% of women going through menopause suffer from cramps. Her best advice for a woman going through menopause is to avoid milk and dairy products because they contain arachidonic acid, the fatty acid that the body uses to build special prostaglandin that creates cramps. Tryptophan and sodium is also found in dairy products, and they can increase fatigue and bloating. Studies show eliminating milk and dairy products can help lessen the cramps as much as 50% just after 1 month. I think we're done here, men. You are not going to get away with this. It is found that the consumption of milk is also bad for you guys because it can cause testicular cancer and prostate cancer. Testicular cancer is most commonly diagnosed cancer among North American males between ages of 15 and 40. Dr. Greger shares with us the biggest study on diet and testicular cancer conducted in October 2003. In that case study, it was found that the biggest, most significant dietary risk factor associated with cancer was the consumption of cheese. Men that ate most cheese were almost 90% more likely to develop cancer of the testicles. Prostate cancer is also linked with the consumption of milk among men. And Dr. Merkin from Harvard Medical School performed a study where it showed that men who ate dairy products regularly have a 30% higher chance of having prostate cancer than those who eat less than half a serving per day. Therefore, the effect of high calcium food is evidently one of the paths to prostate cancer and testicular cancer. We are blinded from these myths that milk is good for our health. We are always told that when we were young that calcium in milk can help us grow. But did you know that it also causes osteoporosis, which is also a disease of the bone that can lead to increased risk of fracture? Consumption of milk is bad for your health, not only for children, but it's also bad for women and men. Thank you.
All right. The problem here is at the beginning you start off like a machine gun attack on the subject. You're all over the place. You need to focus it a lot more. I couldn't pick out what the main proposition was. I think I picked out what the secondary claims were. They sound like they were buried in a larger claim, and you need to separate those and make them more distinct at the beginning so it's easy to follow. As you're going along, I thought you did a little bit better job of signposting the supporting points because you're basically dividing it among the different groups: infants, women, and children, women and men. And so that's the way the speech ultimately develops, and so that's the one thing that gives it some clarification. The formula that children are taking, for instance, is being equivocated with milk, and I think that you need to demonstrate that milk is a substantive part of that formula. On the stuff on women, you've got it in 3 or 4 different places. For instance, right at the end, you're talking about osteoporosis issues and menstrual cramps. menopausal cramps, and earlier you were talking about other issues related to women. The bedwetting information, you've got one expert on that you cite, and that's okay. The China link, I think that you need to give us the statistics on that. A couple of the sources sound a little iffy. They sound like advocacy groups as opposed to the scientific information that those advocacy groups, holy criminy, that those advocacy groups should be citing, and that's the kind of information that you want to get. I got to cut it short here because your speech went 8 minutes.